Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. The Saints have had an almost perfect offseason, and we can start with the coaching changes. Saints did have a lot of coaching turnover this summer, and when you have a good staff, that's what's going to happen. But we signed a new DB coach, a new tight ends coach as well, got a new defensive coordinator. Zach Strief left for the Broncos. It's just been a lot going on with the coaching staff. But, I mean, honestly, Pete Carmichael's still there, so we kind of know what the offense is going to look like. And Dennis Allen is still there, so we know what the defense is going to look like. Obviously, offense has to get better, but for the most part, I think the coaching staff is about the same. We'll see, about losing Chris Richard and losing Ryan Nielsen, see what that does to the defense, but I think it'll be fine because it was a Dennis Allen-led defense anyway. But let's talk about these signings, man. We'll start from the top. The earliest one that happened was Tano, defensive end. He was the first person to sign a little 2-year deal. Really, really good deal for the Saints. Good deal for him. We like that. We also signed JT Gray, special teams ace. That's going to be a real big signing for us. Then we re-signed Juwan Johnson. That was huge because, having a tight end of that caliber, basically a 1-year deal, that's going to be pretty good. Another prove-it year for him, but he also got paid pretty good. Then we got Derek Carr. Obviously, that's going to be the big one. We got a 4-year contract, big deal with Derek Carr. They found their quarterback. That's the quarterback of the future for at least the next 3 or 4 years for the Saints. And, hey, they saw who they wanted. They got him. I've talked enough about Derek Carr at this point. So, we'll see what happens when he get on the field. And we just going down the timeline. We got Shy Tuttle, who we lost. P.J. Woods, who's declared a free agent. I don't think he may not come back just because we signed so many DBs. Then Jamal Williams. We signed Jamal Williams to a 2-year deal, 3-year deal. He's going to be a really, really good short yardage back. Also can, break some plays in the open field, can catch the ball at the backfield, so that's a big one. Deontay Hardy, we lost. David Onyemata, we lost. Blake Gilligan, we re-signed him to a deal. Got his number stolen by Derek Carr as well. Malcolm Roach, we signed him back. Kentavious Street, I think it's still up in the air on him. Marquez Callaway, the free agent. Just going down this list, Jarvis Landry still a free agent. Marcus Davenport, we lost him as well. I think he went to the Vikings, if I remember correct. Don't really care where he went. It just kind of blows my mind once they leave the Saints. Dwayne Washington, still a free agent. Then we signed Nathan Shepard, defensive tackle / defensive end. Kalen Saunders from the Chiefs. That's a big, big signing for us. Needed some defensive tackle help, obviously, after Onyemata and Tuttle loss. Then we signed Storm Norton. 1-year contract. Is going to be, a camp body. Probably going to battle for a backup spot. Lonnie Johnson, same thing. Jonathan Abraham as safety, also going to be in that same situation. But the offseason has been pretty good for the Saints, man. I think we plugged some holes on the defensive line, got some depth in the secondary. I do think we're going to need some depth at linebacker eventually. Maybe they'll look at the draft to do that. You're going to always need offensive linemen. Still need one more running back. But like I said, we have a draft for that. So we'll see what happens. And for your Jameis stands, I did not forget Jameis Winston. Obviously, we re-signed Jameis Winston. That was like a really, really big signing. We had 2 really big quarterback signings. Obviously, you got Derek Carr, who's going to be your guy, who's going to be your quarterback in the future. Then you got Jameis Winston, who's going to be one of the best backups in the NFL, if not the best backup in the NFL. Like, that's how good this quarterback room is. It's an upgrade from last year. You got Derek Carr, you got Jameis Winston, and you got Taysom Hill. You basically replaced Andy Dalton with Derek Carr. That's just an upgrade, to the quarterback room. I think you have a top 10 quarterback room in the NFL. Let's just be honest. I'm not saying Derek Carr's a top 10 quarterback, but when you had the backup, you had Taysom Hill, that's definitely a top 10 quarterback room in the NFL, and I can't be mad at that. With the defense, how good it's supposed to be, offensive line, running game is going to be better. Michael Thomas, who I think I skipped over for some reason when we talked about these re-signings. Michael Thomas did restructure, so he's going to be on a 1-year deal, prove-it deal. Took a pay cut for the most part, so that's going to give your new quarterback some weapons with Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, MT. Maybe we'll get another receiver. We probably will need to get another receiver. Also, offensive line is going to be better. Hopefully, we can get healthy on that front. Running back's going to be better, so the offense is looking better on paper already. And, man, quick side note. Foster Moreau, obviously, if you haven't seen, he was diagnosed with cancer. The Saints figured this out with a physical they did. We did this with the Eagles long snapper, Doran Bose, I think his name was. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And also Nick Fairley as well. So as much as, the Saints medical staff gets some flack and things like that, man, that's a good catch by them, obviously. Guy diagnosed with cancer. You're getting that diagnosed while you're taking the physical, which also kind of tells me that the Saints probably were close to signing Foster Moreau, so that's going to suck for us. But obviously, that doesn't matter, man. The guy was diagnosed with cancer. He needs to step away from football, get that taken care of. Hopefully, he beats that, pretty quickly, pretty swiftly. And I'm praying for Foster Moreau, man. LSU Tiger was looking like he may have been a Saint. So, even if he wasn't, that's still a scary situation, and I'm glad the Saints found that for him. Now we'll kind of talk about who's left Who's left in free agency? And will the Saints be players in these guys? I'm just looking at the list right now. Number 1, Lamar Jackson. Obviously, we won't be interested in Lamar Jackson. Obviously, good player. But number 2, Jadeveon Clowney. He's been kind of linked to the Saints for the last 3 or 4 seasons. Every time he's a free agent, highly touted coming out of high school, college, number 1 pick, all that good jazz. Has a pretty good NFL career. So he would be a nice guy. Can rush the passer, obviously, pretty good in the run game. So maybe they'll take a look at him for the 4th or the 5th time. Who knows? But if we don't get Jadeveon Clowney, I'll survive. Rock your center cornerback. Won't be looking at too many cornerbacks. Yannick Ngakoue, that's interesting. We do need a defensive end. We do need a pass rusher. He's really good off the edge, has really good speed. So he isn't really good against the run. So, with the Saints defense, they like guys that can stop the run. He's not really that. He's just kind of a straight pass rusher. So maybe they'll take a look at him. DJ Chark. Don't think we'll take a look at a receiver. Odell Beckham as well. Don't think we'll take a look at a receiver, especially at those guys' price ranges. For me, if I was in that offense, I'll definitely be looking at offensive line help. You always want to get offensive line help. We do need a running back number 3. I do think we're going to get that out the draft. I would rather get that out the draft instead of signing somebody in a free agency. I do think we're going to need another receiver. Another receiver will be good for the Saints. I do think we need one, just because you're going to need 4, 5, 6 receivers going into the season. With Michael Thomas' injury history, you want to be prepared for that. Hopefully, it just never happens, but you still have to be prepared. Also, defensive line. We're going to always need defensive linemen. We lost a couple this season. It's specifically edge rushers, and then linebackers. I think we're going to need some linebacker depth. Obviously, we have Pete Warner, Demario Davis. We lost Caden Ellis, which was a big loss, so we're going to need some linebacker depth as well. But like I said, we have a lot of picks in the draft, so if we don't sign anybody in free agency, I still give us an A for this free agency. The only reason why I'm not giving them an A+ is because we lost Caden Ellis to the Falcons. That's the only reason why. Other than that, which we really couldn't do nothing about that, man. He got a pretty nice deal for a linebacker, especially if he was going to be a backup here. We just couldn't pay him that to be a backup. So A for the Saints, an A for Mickey Loomis, an A for Dennis Allen, man. You have to give Dennis Allen credit. This is the second year in a row that in free agency the Saints have been absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. First year, obviously we re-signed Jameis Winston, got Andy Dalton. You now got Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May. Like, you had a good draft. You got Penning, you got Olave. It was a really, really good offseason for him. Now this season, the same thing. You went go fill 2 defensive tackle spots, restructure Mike Thomas, went go get Derek Carr, went to get Jamal Williams. Like, this has been absolutely fantastic for Dennis Allen, for Mickey Loomis, so I have to give him credit on that point. I just have to give him credit. Off season, we're heroes. On the field, not so much. Not so much yet. Hopefully, the on-field play can catch up with their off-season success, and we'll just see what happens. The NFL doesn't release its schedule until May 11th, I think, this season, so we don't really know what our schedule will look like. We know all of the opponents. It's not going to be very good opponents because we weren't very good, and usually the bad teams play the bad teams, and that's probably going to be a good thing for the Saints. So when the schedule comes out, we'll definitely have a video on going through game by game. We could just scratch out the Falcons because that's just 2 wins already, no matter when we play those bums. So man, great offseason by the Saints. Let me know what y'all think about this offseason. What's the best moves? What's the worst move? What's a move you think we can still make, a trade we can possibly make? Let me know in the comments below. As always, just Tragedy.